bit. That's going to be perfect. Awesome. Excellent. Welcome to the show, everybody. My voice isn't even warmed up yet. Welcome. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for checking it all out. What's going on over here at the Paint with Josh show today? Nobody knows. It's totally fine. There we go. I can see what the heck I'm doing. All right, so you guys got to tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? I'll show you what we've done so far. We've taken our 16 by 20 inch canvas, covered it in our liquid clear first, or linseed oil you could use, and then we use phthalo blue all over, sort of leaving this area untouched and leaving this front area untouched. And that way, there's not too much paint on the canvas, right? So you guys can tell me where you're watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? We're gonna come into our white paint like this, and let's decide. We've got all this blue out here. What would it look like if maybe we tossed in this far off little poof of a cloud way up there in the top? All right, if you want to have a lot of clouds, you got to start up top. And that way you give yourself room to blend it down. Blend it down, blend it down, blend it down. Just like that, right? Little soft little thing. Now, when we come back, we don't even need to add any extra paint to the brush. We can literally pop back in, maybe come up underneath this guy, maybe sling down a whole nother little section, right? Where do we want it to be? I don't care. Wherever it wants to be. All we need to be concerned with is we don't want our two colors to touch, right? If they end up touching too much anyway, or looking exactly the same, we won't be able to tell which one's one cloud and which one's the next cloud, right? So come in and we mix it up. And we push on it and we smush on it and poosh! All this color. Drag it as far away as we possibly can, right? Now, we know we're going to want to have this massive old mountain into this painting. So let's get out here, grab a little bit more of our white, and let's start working down our clouds, maybe up in a different direction, right? We've been coming down like this, coming down like that. So if our mountain's going to be here, maybe we need a little touch behind, and then a lot more paint. Right, a lot brighter. If you're going to touch the two bright colors, you need to let one be much brighter than the other. We'll come up here and we'll mix it. And if they're too much of the same, again, they're going to start to look like the same cloud. Right, so we can tell now this one's a little bit brighter than those two, must be a little bit closer to us. And that's how I like to do it, guys. Out there, blend it down. The more we push on it, the more it'll spread out. Get all these cool things, bring some of that light back up into the darkness of the other cloud. Adds all sorts of depth. You see that? Do you see? Now, what if we popped in this little guy and changed that little bit of cloud back there? Instead of going down, it kind of came up and then went down a little bit, right? Just with a little extra color. You can do all sorts of stuff. Drag it down. We don't want it to allow it to touch this guy, right? So maybe we drag it down into that center area, like there's it's like a black hole almost. That's awesome. I like that. You know, it's okay, Todd. You can laugh. We have a visitor in the studio, everybody. We've got a visitor. It's the old Mod Todd. It's Todd Mod. Mod Todd. I don't know. What should we call you, Todd? Todd. It's TMH1992 from TikTok. He's going to take a class with me tomorrow. He had to drive like 5 or 6 hours from out of state. So, I let him stay with me because we're buds. And we're going to do a class tomorrow, and it's going to be a whole lot of fun. Now, at least you won't get lost on the way to class, right, Tom?
Exactly.
It's going to be fantastic. Okay, now, you know what? I don't even need any more white paint. That's just out of habit. We don't need any more paint on the brush. Everybody say hi to Todd in the studio. Hi, Todd. All the girlies are waving at you, Todd. I can sense it out in the night. Thank you for the gifts over there on TikTok. I love you guys. So, let me know where you're watching from, guys. What's your favorite sandwich? Make sure you're tapping on the screen. You're giving me a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, or you're using those little emojis if you're watching over there on Facebook. So we got all these little things flying up all over every screen. Right? If you're just watching on YouTube, just one time, one thumbs up is all we need. Okay, now, Todd, what do we need to mix up to make our black, purplish, blackish mix? And I sort of need that.
Blue and crimson.
What was that, Todd? I couldn't hear you.
Black, blue, and crimson.
Black, blue, and crimson is right. So we're going to take our 3 favorite colors that Todd just mentioned. A little bit of black, a little bit of blue, a little bit of crimson, all of equal ratios, right? 1 to 1 to 1, equal amounts of each color. And that way it won't be overly blue or overly crimson or overly black, right? Come back in here, scrape it up, flatten it out. Now we've got to make a ginormous mountain, okay? In order to do that, we need a roll of paint on the end of our palette knife. So we're going to come in, scrape it like that, literally removing it from the palette. Now it's attached onto our knife. So you come in, scrape like this, come up like that, and we get to determine where our little mountain sits out in the knife just by pushing on that paint, mushing it, turning our knife, rotating it, spinning it up like this. You come down, now all of a sudden we've got a little dark line in there that we can choose to fill in or not fill in or whatever, right? I never like them to be too crazy peaky, so let them kind of flow off a little flat as we get down to the bottom, make it a little flatter. Always a little flatter, maybe down into here, maybe another little peak. How do you want your little guy to look? Now remember, we're gonna have 2 mega trees on this side, at least 2. So don't go too far over with this little mountain guy. Make sure you want all your little details and stuff sort of centered. Otherwise they're gonna get covered, they're gonna get lost by the deep darkness of the trees and the branches and all of that stuff, right? Doesn't have to be a straight line, you just want it to be crisp. Doesn't need to be perfect, just needs to be able to tell a difference without having any little crazy guys hanging off the top of it, right? Just like that. Take our mountain, slide it off, scrape up some of our paint, because you don't need it so thick everywhere, right? Dump it down in different places. Now all of a sudden, our mountain's just grown a little bit, just by the same amount of paint. We didn't even have to add anything extra, right? Come back, take our 1-inch brush. Ooh, about dropped it, but we caught it. Just like that, take your 1-inch brush, come out here, slide it out, right? The more pressure that we push, or the more times that you drag it, the further it'll go, right? And we know our mountain has to come down in both directions. So you have one slope going down this way, one slope going down that way. Get rid of the brush hairs as you notice them. Otherwise you'll forget that they're there. Maybe these guys in the back, just a sheer cliff, just a wall, the ice wall of the north, I guess. Where was the place where the White Walkers were, Todd? I mean, it's the ice wall of... I don't know. It's been a minute since I've watched Game of Thrones, which is perfect. Perfect timing to pull a reference from a show that I haven't watched in a long time, and I don't know the reference, right? Where did they go? They got sent to the Night's Watch, Todd. The Night's Watch. The wall of the Night's Watch out here, right? Gorgeous. I know, guys. And you're probably all typing it into the comments. I know. Okay, now, just with that bit of pulling in different directions, we've got ourselves a little mountain out here. All we need to do now is highlight the little mountain with one of these guys, like a little spatula, some people call it. I like to call it a palette knife. Very thin, very flat. The Paint with Josh one will have black handles with a gold ferrule. Gonna be fantastic. I can't wait to see it. I literally can't wait. So let's scrape up our darkness. We don't need this guy anymore. Let's go put him back up here next to our black color, right? We know they're different. They're very similar, but they are a little bit different. Come in, grab a bit of our white, a bit of our blue, just a small amount. We don't need to have too much, otherwise it'll be too blue, right? We want it to be sky blue color, so we need more white than blue. Otherwise the blue will overtake, right? So we've got our sky blue here, but it's too blue, it's too pretty. So we're gonna take a bit of our messy, dark black mix and start to run that through this guy. And that's going to dull our paint down into a grayer version of its own self. You don't want to mix it more than 10 or 20 times because you'll lose all those little streaks and all those little things, right? You need all that marbling, quote unquote, so when you grab it, it will deposit differently on our mountain. Remember, not everything has to look the same. Get the smallest little bit, whip it down. How do you want it to be? Right? We get to decide. Come right up onto where you want to grab it. That was just with the smallest amount until it became empty. Now, it's going to take about the same amount. And who knows, maybe we'll come up into this side. Holding the knife a little differently, we can get some different effects. It'll drop on a bit more heavily, right, if we're holding it on that way. And scrape it on this way. If you really push on it real hard, it'll also look a little different. See all the differences in here? All in how we hold the knife, how much paint of that roll is depositing off and actually sticking to your canvas. We don't need the entire bit to be all sorts of blue. And we come down in here and we start shaking this guy down, right down like that, right? Having our whole little white mountain side that we can come up on and deposit in different ways. Not everything has to be a perfectly straight line either. Don't I say that all the time, Todd? Yep. You're so excited, Todd. He's like, yep. That's fantastic, right? Okay, we're gonna come over here, grab a little bit of white. grab a little bit of blue. We don't need to have too much. And the blue that we created, not the pure blue, the blue that we had mixed up over here. Now we'll have this very white blue color, right? We know it's not pure bright titanium white because we mixed a bit of that phthalo blue into it. That's all out there, over here. Did you guys know, by the way, you could get this painting if you go to paintwithjosh.com. It can be yours. Take our little roll of paint, come up, suction cup it to the canvas, make it a little odd, let it drop down, right? Not everywhere has to be the most perfectest place. It doesn't all have to be covered. All we're doing, you can even see it's just a small, the cameras are in different places today. So it's just a small little line, right? I gotta show it to each camera over here, of paint that's remaining left when we get done. If you can hear this, you know there's no more paint left on your brush. You shouldn't be able to hear that noise when your brush is full of paint. It's only when it's empty that we're gonna be able to hear that, right? There's nothing on it. That's why it's making that scratchy noise. We're kind of putting a little buffer in between. Let's take a little bit of our white, dump it up into here, right? Roll it down, roll it down, roll it down. How far can you go? That's totally up to you, and how fast you're doing it, right? If you're doing it very slowly, it's very hard to control your pressure and get it to drag a long way. That's like, you know, when you take when you have a cup on top or a lot of china on top of a table and you whip the sheet out from underneath it? It's the same thing. You have to do it fast, right? Same sort of idea, except with our paint. We can come in here and mix down and do it very quickly and not worry that every single part of it isn't covered in pure white, because you have to have those deep, dark crevices back in there. The crevices. You gotta have them back there, Todd. Come over off the side of this guy. Remember, all this stuff on the side is not going to be seen at all, so don't worry about it. Just worry about the tip top of the mountain and how we want it to look. Everything else underneath gets demolished by our misty, foggy effect. Okay, maybe down in here, drop it down a little bit more white, a little bit more white. You can even take it, go this way, or you can take your blue and continue on straight that way. Again, how do you want it to look, Todd? What should we do? All right, Todd didn't answer. We're gonna go this way. Over here, over there, slide it down, work it, boom, whip it good. This one's turning into an enormous mountain. I might not even do the link at the bottom, honestly. Take this guy, slide him off over here. Very cool, right? Wherever we put the paint is where it's going to be. So if we want it to be a little bit further, maybe we wrap it around again. You know what? I might just do a whole stinking giant mountain of a canvas, just because this one's starting to look so cool, Todd. What do you think? It is, he says. Let's do it. Let's take that whole little shadowy bit, whip it down over here, right? Not trying to have too much paint in different places. And if there is, we can always go back and mist it up. Watch this. Come back with our 1-inch brush. Start tapping into all this stuff, working it down the same way we were dragging it, right? The more that we tap into it, the more it's going to mist it up. And it's going to start to make it harder to see every single little piece, right? That's what we want. We want that foggy mist in there. That way we can still see that there's mountain, but it's kind of getting harder, right? We can't get every little detail with our eyes. We can't pick up every single thing because that misty fogginess is back in there. That's exactly what you want. Not every piece of your mountain has to be the most brightest and brightest of all. Take our knife like that. We need to make up some more paint. So before we run out of this color, let's take a little bit more white, mix it in with a little bit of that bluish sky color, all the way down, just like that. Swipe it, flip it, rotate it, go back, grip it. Now let's come up above our little mountain section over here. Right? Start whipping down across a few of those little things. Not everything is going to be caught perfectly. Right? Maybe that guy is whipping out, getting a lot flatter, right? See our strokes kind of change into more of a flat horizontal thing versus these guys were on a downward angle. You can start to do different things with different stuff on your brush. I'm telling you. Am I not telling you, Todd? Have I not told him? I've told him. Plenty of times, Todd said. Plenty of times I've told you. Alright, I think I might have grabbed a bit too much of my blue. It's okay, we'll brighten it back up with some white. There we go. Gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. This one's going to take a minute to dry for all that thick paint. See how far we went back over our shadows too? It doesn't have to just be a perfect thing. Right, this guy can start getting all jaggedy up on his shadows as well, because not every piece, look, they are all of a sudden going to connect, just because I looked up and saw it. Now you can see this little S shape. It's super bad. He's here, he's there, he's painting with Josh, he's everywhere. All right, over here, over there. Let's slide this guy down. Now, what if we missed up this whole little area? If we're going to do a whole mountain, right, we're going to have some foggy mist. Even over into the light side, right? Just a little bit of mountain. This guy, he's very straight, so I'm just going to tap him very straightly. That's all. Very straight, little bit down around the bottom, right? Now we're going to come in and make a cloud out of it. What's it going to look like? Let's see as they shade. Over here, make a little misty fogginess, right? Now we can't really see back in there, but it looks like we could take a bit more of our white snow and drag it all the way down to match this level down here, right? We could continue on like that. That would look kind of cool. We could change it up and start popping some trees in there. Just all of a sudden, because we don't have to just follow through on the same ideas all the time, right? Just because we said we were going to do a whole mountain, maybe that doesn't turn into a whole mountain. Maybe we want to learn a little bit more and do a few more things out here tonight, right? We get to decide. That's literally it. Literally us. We are the persons that get to look at it and go, no, I don't like that. Maybe we'll lighten it up here. Maybe we'll drop a bit more paint on. Maybe we'll come in and mist it all up because we don't want to see it, right? Whatever is up to us. Todd, we say it all the time. Down here, let's take a bit more of that white. Let it flow down, getting flatter and flatter and flatter and flatter and flatter as it goes. All of a sudden now, almost looks as though we got a whole other little bit of a mountain back in here, or at least some snow coming down. So again, grab a little bit of snow, little touch of our blue back in here, mix it up real good. Over there like that. Wipe it off. And you can see it's not the most purest of white. We don't want it to be the most purest of white. I had to get a little bit more of my white there. That way, this guy will stand off or stand out as our snow connecting onto all these other guys, right? Now you have to have enough of the paint onto our brush, otherwise it will not deposit off of our brush and start flowing down, right? It's all about the knife, the angle, the amount of paint that's up there, how much we're pulling on it, the direction that we're pulling down and sliding. All gets determined by us, right? We're the ones that are choosing it. I'm saying, you know what? This guy is going to go all the way down here just because I say, right? There's nothing that tells me I can't do that. There's no rule in the rule book that says, excuse me, you're not allowed to go. No, no one's out here telling us that we can't do anything, right? Look at this, with the slightest little bit of color across that area, we could almost turn it into water. Almost. You know what? Let's start popping some trees up in here too. Just because I want to see them. Just the most brightest and brightest of all areas. Over here, over there. Now, we're all the way down nearly into our foreground. We need a lot of pressure back in here just to kind of cut off our mountain right back there. Now, you could say that's a lake. You really could, honestly. You could say it's a lake. You don't have to, but you could. Come off of this side with our 2-inch brush, just softening down a lot of these guys back here, especially if we're going to want to add a massive tree. You can hear the difference between the 2-inch and the 1-inch for sure. And a big old tree down there, kind of taking up all of this area, missing this area, and coming down right into the foreground. It's going to be really cool. This thing just looks so neat, Todd. I almost just want to just start throwing in snow, right? Wherever we want to add it. We can have a little valley of snow back in here just by popping it down, right? Wherever it wants to be. I like it. Super simple, very easy, lots of depth, right? We could still add a lake at the bottom if you wanted to. We're almost out of room, but we almost could. You know what? Let's take a little bit of our liquid white and a little bit of our titanium white. We'll see what happens with it down here. Right along the bottom, leaving a little bit of darkness. Not every place is going to be exactly the same. Right? Down like that. Let's take our 2-incher. Lots of pressure, lots of reps. We need to get it to stretch. Right? So you have to get that very small little line to stretch, meaning we have to hit it a lot and drag it down and drag drag it down. Lots of pressure, lots of reps, lots of pressure, lots of reps. A couple little sideways swipes, and all of a sudden now you can see maybe there's a bit of water across the way. Just across the way. So, tell me where you guys are watching from. What's your favorite sandwich? And you can get over to paintwithjosh.com. You can grab this painting right now. It's over there. There won't be a photo for it just yet because we haven't finished it, obviously. But if you get over to paintwithjosh.com, it's going to be the very first thing you see is number 1397. That's this painting right here. And you can have it for your very own before anyone else even has a chance to grab it. Before we have a chance to finish it. Before we have a chance to post it anywhere. You can own it. So, head over there, paintwithjosh.com. Very first thing you're going to see. Let's grab a big old fan brush off the side of the table. There we go. Excellent. Now, let's come back in here. We don't need too much for background in this scene because we've got that giant mountain back in here, right? So let's start on our foreground, which means we need to be a little taller than our peak of our mountain. Come all the way down to the front. Very soft, very simple, easy little scene. And we scrape one in back there too, just the littlest guy, right? You could leave them sticky trees like this and add 10 million miles of depth, or you can come in just pushing on the corner, and I try to keep my big old hand out of the way, especially when we're trying to do the stuff everybody wants to know, right? Pushing in, rocking back and forth, and that's a good 6-inch tree right there, ladies. And that's a big tree in my opinion. We're gonna keep going. We're gonna come down, keep going down, popping away from the trunk, back and forth, over here, over there, back and forth and back and forth. Now, our two trunks are so close together that we're not even really gonna have to do this guy down much further at all, because this one is gonna overtake and come into where that tree touches, right? So we don't have to do too much. Don't try to overcover everything, right? Then you have too much paint on the canvas and then it becomes harder to do. So let's start up here, little taps. So we go down, push in and push in and push in, over here and over there. Now you can see this guy is starting to become a little bit lighter in color, barely lighter. And how much it overtakes our other tree, in which case we don't even need to do its left side. It will already be done by our guy right here. All right, so we're gonna fill in this last little triangle on the way down. Making sure that we can't see through them. If we can see through them, then they're not as full as I want them to be. I don't want any light coming through except right maybe there where they're kind of just touching and growing out from each other. Now, we've got a lot of color over here, guys. There's a lot of brightness. And what happens to the plaque color when it goes over the white? Oh, it turns like a bright gray. It's not fun. Oh, it's not fun. So, we need to either scrape away an area that we think we're going to contact, right? So, by removing that white paint, now we know we at least have to go that big on the bottom of this little tree over here. But by taking that away, that's going to help keep our paint a little bit darker, right? Now, do you think we've got enough in this little pile? I'll show everybody. We'll show Facebook. We got YouTube and TikTok over here. Do you think we've got enough in that little pile to do this whole rest of this side of his tree right here? All the way down to about there, right? Do you think we have enough? Todd, do you think we have enough? I'm sure you've seen it on the camera. Look at this little pile.
I think so.
All right, Todd thinks so, guys. He's a painter too. He's come here to take a class. I don't know. It's a very small little pile of what's left on the brush, right? All right, we got a lot of people saying yes. You got to make the noises, otherwise it doesn't work. That's 100% true. You got to go as we push down and start launching out and push our bristles a little bit harder and start popping them out a little bit more. Man, every time I think I'm going to be right, you guys are always right. That's why I always have too much paint on my palette, because I think it's going to take a little bit more than it needs. Right? That cool thing. Actually, I don't know. Maybe we got to come out a little bit further. Maybe, okay, you guys are right. You're right all the time. Why do I even question you? You guys are like my ex-wife. You're right all the time. Why? I'm never right. That's just a joke, by the way. No, I mean, my ex-wife is right all the time. But she's also one of my best friends, so it's just a joke. I thought it was. Todd laughed. I saw him chuckle over here on the side. All right, let's take a bit more. I think we need to make up a bit more of our plaque color. We can do at least one, maybe we do a couple little trees. We could put them real low. We could do some bushes. We could literally leave it like this and call yours done, right? It doesn't have to be fully completed, but I do want to add a bit more trees. I love making trees and stuff. I found a cool way to do them, and I like to share it with all of my guys, gals, and painting pals, right? Now, do you think that's actually not even enough? I can just tell you automatically it's not, so I'm gonna make more. But do you think we've got enough in this pile to do at least two more trees, right? In that massive pile of paint. Remember, these foreground trees have to be very thick in order to stand out and have all that texture. So choose wisely. Do you think we have enough paint in the brush and on the palette in order to make it work? God, we're gonna have to remove that whole big old section right there. I don't like him. I don't like him. I told you, Josh. Don't go all the way to the edge. Didn't I say that? Look at all that white paint. That would take all of this black paint and make it a very light gray color, which we don't want to happen. So let's come down over here. Let's make this guy a little bit taller. Right down, a little bit of an angle. Not everything has to be perfectly straight. Come back onto him and we'll go with just the tip of the brush. The more we go down, the more we push in, the more we contact. Now, we don't want to hit all that white snow onto our mountain. But if you do, or if you can't get away from it, right? You're just like, oh, I've been trying, I can't get away from all that white snow. We can either suggest a darker color paint, or we're gonna have to go back and add more and more and more and more and more texture every time we do it in order to get it to be very dark. You can also thin it down if you use a little bit of our odorless mineral spirits. Thin down the paint, because Bob always said that a thin paint will stick to a thick paint, and that way it will slide and drop across all those light colored areas. It's a magic trick. But here's the catch. You can't make it too thin. I mean, you can, and that's when it's gonna hurt you if you make the paint too thin, because we also have to come back and highlight it with another color, right? Let's come in here, extend some of these guys out. Real thick old branches. Not everything's gotta be as big or come out as far, right? This really cool thing, push your mountain way off into the distance out there. I like it. I don't know about you guys, but I like it. I like that, right? We can take these guys, grab them, and even slide them across the bottom. Little things you can do. Add a little tuft, add a little bit of land. Grab this guy, pull him over to the edge. I never like him to just fall straight off the bottom of the canvas, even if you've got the smallest amount of land. The tiniest little pond out there in the distance, right? You can then grab, let's get the old paint with Josh soft and floppy. Grab the 1-inch brush over here, pull it off the side, right along the edge of our walkway, or our little, kind of like the shore to our little pond on that side. Right? Very lightly, grabbing it up, sliding it over. Remember, we're gonna have shadows coming from the other direction off our trees. Not everything has to be perfect. Were you in Discord last night, Todd, when Cosmic said the word coiffed, but said it in a strange way that none of us seem to imagine?
Don't think so.
You weren't there?
I don't think so.
I gotta throw you under the bus. I can't remember. She called it like coiffed or coiffed or no, yeah. It was like coiffed. Like to say it. I thought in my brain it was COIFF, and I was like, what is she saying? I'm like, you mean coiffed? She's like, no, I've never heard it that way. And I'm like, I don't know. So, guys, how do you say the word? Like when you have perfectly coiffed hair, right? How do you spell that? Or pronounce it? Do you pronounce it like me, or is Cosmic gonna hate my guts forever? What did she say? Don't you dare. Coiffed. It's not coiffed. It's coiffed. Your hair is perfectly coiffed, right? Like Q. How do you even say it? It's like Q, or is it spelled with a C? Is it spelled with a C?
I think so.
Well, I mean, Cosmic's a lot smarter than me too, so it could be. I could be wrong, and I wouldn't shy away from it. I'll be wrong. A little bit of blue onto this side. As we drag it down, let it intermix with that little bit of white, little shadows, a little light, a little bit of blue, our little shadowy side. Really got to make this side a little bit brighter with our white, because it's going to be catching that light, right? So drag it in, drag it over from the edge. Soft little bits, little thing, little trail in the wilderness, down to the bottom. And what if we just added another hole? So what am I thinking right now, Todd? What else can go into this painting right now that I'm thinking of anyway? Todd's thinking of bush, guys. Did you ever stop and imagine that maybe there would be a faraway tree just that had fallen down and smacked, boom, right down over the top of the pond? Because I didn't imagine it until I just looked out into the painting and saw it happen. So, every once in a while, you gotta get crazy. You go very light out here, you push a lot harder as you get closer to you. Makes it become a lot thicker. This has to be supremely dark paint. You don't want it intermixing with any other little colors out there, right? Then you can come off of that guy drawing all sorts of little branches. And what we're going to do is grab our Paint with Josh liner brush, our odorless mineral spirits, dabbing it a couple times into the cup, and then onto that little plaque mixture, right? We have to hold the palette very flat, otherwise it will try to run if it's not properly mixed in with that paint. You want the paint to be very watery and very runny, and so it will deposit itself off of our brush and slide even over the brightest white, right? Not every bit is going to be perfect. Not every piece is going to be going straight up either. Okay, so we come over here. Maybe it's out that way. Maybe we got some over here. Maybe there's one off to the side. It's laying down. Maybe this one's poking down. Does it go in the pond, or do we hit the ground on this side, right? Making it seem a little bit closer. That guy flick off this way, over here, dunk, right into the snow, I would imagine. Maybe another one underneath him. And we'll take our 1-inch brush again, just because it's very small and soft. And get in, drag that little bit. It'll almost look like our branches have stuck into the snow like that. Isn't that the coolest thing, Todd? You can be honest.
That's crazy.
It's crazy, he said. Todd is like the loudest guest I've ever had in my life. It's cool. I love you, Todd. I pull from my, I pull my creativity from my own life, and so you guys all know that anything you say or do is subject to being used in the show, because I'll just eventually think about it. Very soft, very sharp little edge. Out in the night, smaller little branches as we go off the end. Little tiny little things. You're never going to see every single piece, right? And maybe this guy ended up falling over. And if we add a little bit more paint to him, okay, almost make it look like a mistake, and then come in here and drag that white color back. It'll look like that little piece of branch, again, stuck in the other side of the little pond. I like it. All right, let's get over here. Has Cosmic quit yet?
No.
Well, that's good. That's good. She can't go anywhere. We love her too much. Right? That little fallen tree out there in the night. Thank you, Nick. I appreciate it. It's all in the 3 P's of Paint with Josh. Can anyone tell Nick the 3 P's of Paint with Josh? Does anyone out there in the comments know the 3 P's? Because if you don't know the 3 P's, painting will be hard for you. It doesn't matter if you're painting a face or a mountain or a tree or a bush or a dog or a horse or a jaguar. It's going to be hard for you if you don't know the 3 P's. We're going to take a little bit of our liquid white and our phthalo blue. Just mix them in together. You got to have a bit of that darker blue, that thicker paint, right? And the thinner liquid white paint as well. You have to have a mix of both of them. If you don't have a mix of both of them correct, it's not going to deposit off of our brush. Now we want our tree and our branches to get a little bit darker and a little bit further spaced as we go. See some of these spaces in here? They don't need to be as close as all of our spaces are up top. Each time that we touch the brush to the actual canvas and all that plaque paint, it deposits the blue and picks up the plaque. So every so often you gotta go back, wash it off. This is your class tomorrow, Todd, by the way. We're not doing class tomorrow. This is the class, so I hope you're paying attention.
Nope.
This is just a watch-along in-studio viewership, right? We should have Todd that comes stand right next to me. Todd, come get on camera. All right, a little bit of our white into the phthalo blue, over here. We don't want to make, or we want to make sure that not any bit of white is still in the brush. Otherwise, you might look like it's snow highlights instead of snow shadows, right? So again, off the left side, we start tapping, very small, very little taps, and not even the whole bit, because those trees are connected, right? Which one is sitting in front, Todd? Can you tell? Just from the way that it is right now? Which tree is the right-hand tree sitting in front, or is the left-hand tree sitting in front?
The left.
The left is sitting in front. Why? Tell everybody why.
It's darker and taller.
It is taller. What about where its base sits, though? Right? Like its bottom is back here. This guy's bottom is up here. So there is a small change in height right there, meaning the one, depending on how we highlight it, right? That's also a good answer. If we just do the shadows of this tree, then we can highlight the whole front side of the other tree, and it will be in front of this tree. But if we highlight the right side of our left-sided tree and the right side of our right-sided tree, it's going to make the one on the right look like it's further away. Watch, it's a very cool little thing. Very cool. But Todd is correct. It's a little taller, right? In our minds, makes it a little bit closer to us. And where its butt sits, like all this mysterious shadow down here at the base, right? Can't really tell what's going on there, and that helps when we're trying to add mystery and depth and all sorts of stuff. Now we're going to go into our liquid white. We don't even have any titanium white left on the palette, Todd. Oh no, guys. What are we going to do? Over here, get a little squirt. A little bit of a... Oh, that almost came out. That would have been bad. Like plopped out of the tube and onto the ground. Onto my freaking Jordans, man. Don't ask why I paint the Jordans. I'm a clown. I obviously don't care about my shoes. Okay, over here, a little bit of white, a little bit of blue, a little bit of liquid white, a little bit of titanium white, and we're going to mix them together. You can see my little Hershey's Kiss of titanium white right here. It becomes very thin and runny when you add your liquid white. All right, so let's go on to this guy first. We're going to tap onto the top, just so the top branch can have a little piece. And then we're going to start our little taps. Now, not every tap has to be over the shadow. Sometimes as you're bouncing back and forth, like that guy exactly, that whole white piece is disconnected from the whole tree. It's not touching, right? We know it is in our brains. What the heck is with my hair, Todd? You didn't even tell me? You didn't even tell me?
What?
I don't know. It just looks a little funky. This looks funny hanging off the top of my hat. There we go. That's better. Looks like I had a toupee on. It was William Joshner over here. We're gonna come over, start tapping on our little tree. Remember, our tree starts going off to the edge, right? All the brightness is really caught onto here. So we're gonna start from the edge, only really doing about the middle of the tree. Not doing too many little guys. Overlapping into our shadows a little bit. Doesn't that make it look more 3D? When you have your bright side, a little bit of gap, your bright again, and then your dark. Or am I crazy? Am I the crazy one? One little tap, guys, can help your tree, or vice versa, hurt your tree. Too many little taps can hurt us, right? Over there, boom, boom, boom. Now, even though we just smashed on all that white and all that blue, what have we left in between? We usually say that for the seascapes, but what have we left in between all those little pieces of color? Over there, as I load up a little bit more of my liquid white back into the titanium white. Can anyone tell me the answer? What are they saying, Todd? Todd the mod? Shadows, Nick, Neo, darkness, says Wendy. Right? We leave those dark spots, the max separators. See you later, Nish. Thanks for tuning in and hanging out. Right? We leave those little dark separation pieces that are separating all of our light color and keeping it from touching itself, really. Right? We don't want all the light colors to touch. We said the same thing when we were out there doing our clouds, right? We don't need all the white colors out there touching. Otherwise, all the clouds will turn into the same cloud, right? We don't want all the white parts touching on the mountain, or vice versa, all the blue parts touching on the mountain. So you can reveal some of that mountain depth in there. Same thing on our trees. You want to be able to reach in, grab the trunk. You can't reach in if there's not a dark space. Right? I mean, there might be a spider living in it. I don't know that I'm reaching inside. But you have to be able to get in there and grab it. Otherwise, you have no depth to your tree. Right? So as we start rocking up this other side, over here, over there. Right? We don't want to go too far on our one guy. Now we've sort of run into an issue here where we should have probably done the other guy first, and then we would have known where to stop. But it's going to be fun anyway. We're going to come up here, we're going to tap onto the treetop, turn our brush to the side, start dabbing on little baby bits. If you come out here and you dab it on and it globs, what is wrong, Todd? If you come out here with your liquid white and your titanium white and you try to dab on your highlights and it globs on, right? Do we have too much liquid white or not enough? Too much, right? So if we came out and if we were to try to do it with just the titanium white and come out here and it doesn't transfer, then we don't have enough, right? So I get the question all the time, if it's too wet and too nasty and you go up there and all of a sudden you just blobbed on like this huge thing, which can happen sometimes, it's okay, don't worry, right? Go back, make sure your mixture's right, and attempt it again. Very simply, very easily. But it's all about, it's as easy as mixing it up, right? You could say think the wrong thing and do it backwards. And then you'll message me and go, I've been trying to do this and I just can't get it figured out. And I'm like, okay, here we go. This is why. Right? And then you go, I've been doing it backwards this whole time. I feel you. You know what I mean? And that is the joy of having Paint with Josh at your beck and call, right? Not really. Not really. I do have a life. But I tend to try to answer most of my comments, especially if it's a legitimate question on how to get better or how to do a certain thing. I try to answer them all. So I can't get to everyone, guys, but I do try. I try to answer the majority of them. So if you're ever in need, send old Uncle Paint with Josh some meshes and I'll see what I can do for you. Over here, just tapping on little areas of our tree trunk. Right? We don't want the whole thing to be lit up. Gorgeous. Gorgeous. Little baby bits. Barely touching, just because I want the smallest amount of light actually on that branch. These branches are very happy to be silhouettes. They don't need any love, right? If you put too many highlights on there, it becomes too big, like our trunk, and we know these branches are a little bit smaller than the trunk. Also, if we were to highlight this piece right here, it's going to be too bright. We're not going to be able to see it against all that other brightness, right? So everything determines our backdrop. Didn't I tell you, London? 45 minutes. I said 45 minutes. It's been 42. That's a good show right there. So, guys, start coming up with a title for this painting. If you want it, you can head over to paintwithjosh.com. You can grab it, and then you get to choose what its name gets to be forever, right? If you don't, then your suggestion might not get chosen. Right? So if you think you've got the best title out there in existence, type out into the comments, head over to the store, grab the painting, secure your title as the title. Otherwise, it's up to the luck of the draw. Right? I might pick yours, or it might get skipped over. You never know. Depends on how good that title is, I guess. So start typing in title suggestions, guys. What do you think we should call this guy right here tonight? And if somebody could grab it, that might let me afford to take Todd out to dinner. Just really, like I said, let's go eat, Todd. You know, that means I have to pay, and I kind of want to go to Texas Roadhouse. I don't know about you guys. I haven't been there in ages, and it's a good chance to do that. So somebody can help me out, and then we can take Todd out to dinner. So where are you from? Out in somewhere in Washington, right? Like 5-6 hours away, you could say that.
Yeah.
Yeah, 5-6 hours away in Washington State. Did you enjoy the drive from Washington down here to Oregon?
Until I hit traffic, that was
Ooh.
nice.
It's always the thing.
The beginning part is all the way around like a inlet of water, so that's really cool.
Oh, so you got to at least look at something nice?
Yeah.
That's cool. Every time I moved here, right? So we were driving in, and then we've gone to the beach like once, and that's the only time I've ever really driven back. And I've never experienced really any traffic, but that's only from about 90 minutes away, really. So let's see, these guys over here. Over here. trees, man. So cool. All right, so what do we got for titles? You see any good titles, Todd? Any good ones in the comments that just jump out to you? Oh, you guys are not impressing Todd with your titles. Huh?
Black Ice Mountain.
I like that. Black Ice.
Dentine Ice.
Dentine Ice. I like that. That's cool.
Koi Peaks.
Alright. 2 more brushes, guys. Well, 1 more after this guy. And we'll be all set and ready. So, start coming up with a title. What do you think? We'll see. And then we'll be all set. Alright. Remember, you guys know where to go. If you want to grab this painting, go to paintingwithjosh.com. Solitude. Mountain Splendor. Midnight Blue from Cheryl Anderson over there on YouTube. You guys are awesome. Coiffed Pine Lake. Mac! Jeez, I didn't want to bring it up. Now Mac's trying to cement it in there. Frosty Peaks. Man, you guys got some good titles. Ice Ice Baby. That's funny. That's funny. Coiffed Peaks. I almost want to put that as the title. Really. Cosmic's Revenge. We could call it that. Or Comics Revenge. Is it cosmic or comics? It's 2 very different things. I mean, she is funny. She is pretty funny. Oh. What do we got, guys? Peppermint Ice Mountain. We could call it Cosmic's Revenge. That'd be funny. I like all right. I like Frosted Peaks. Frosted Peaks works. Twin Peaks, and then you have the 3 birds. I'd say 3 Pines. I like that as a title over there. Lenny over on YouTube, checking it out. Sloped. It is a very neat, like there's something about this really up close mountain that's just jumping out. Sky reaching. Oh, I love it. Very, very cool. Very, very cool, guys. Thanks, XGK. Love you too. Yeah, lots of people watching over on YouTube tonight for sure. Dude, we could call it Coiffed Peaks. I like that. You guys are funny. Thanks, Big D. Appreciate you guys. And yeah, I'm super ready to go to dinner. I figured if this one found a forever home during the show, I would stay and do another one real quick. But if it didn't, then we're just going to go to dinner. And hope that future science can save us. It's fine. Let's get over here, wipe down this guy. And then, you guys, come on, hit me with those titles. We're going to get you 1 more shot. And then I'm going to choose my favorite one. 1 more chance to get your titles into the comments section while I get everything cleaned up, put away, locked down. You don't have to clean it, anything else. Perfect. All right. Let's see. The Freezer Mountain, Frozen Paradise. I like you guys over there on YouTube. Rockin' and rollin'. Once upon a mountain, says Tammy over here on Facebook. Blue Mountains. What would you name this painting? I like 3 Pines, too. Who was that said that? Lenny. Lenny Misfunksta over here on YouTube. I think that's what we're going to go with. 3 Pines. I like that. To the point. Very easy. Very cool little painting. So, we're getting close to painting number 1400, you guys. How close? Well, this one's number 1397. So, we're getting pretty close. Like that, over there. Like that, and we're calling it 3 Pines. So, thank you to everybody who tuned in over on Facebook and YouTube. You guys have been fantastic. Love you all so much. Thank you for supporting the channel and the live and all that stuff. But I'm going to say goodbye to you guys real quick, and then we'll spin the camera around and talk to people on TikTok for a minute. And then I hope Lennon and Yvonne and Bailey are ready to go eat, because I am starving, honestly. So, thank you guys. I can't wait to see your versions over there on YouTube and on Facebook. Send them into facebook.com/officialpaintwithjosh. And until I see you guys again next time, take care. Have the rest of a good day, and blah! Boom, they all say.